yourself to everybody.
Well, I'm Coach Jaime Espalin, owner of the glorious Phoenix Strength and Conditioning. We've been in operation for, we'll be coming up on 2 years in February, so we're at about 18 months. And all the gym has done is just get everybody on the map.
Y'all need to come and check this place out if you're into, I almost call it CrossFit, but it's not exactly CrossFit, is it? It's completely different. You've actually done something unique. You've taken powerlifting and you've taken conditioning and you've taken things that your officers and your professionals use in the firefighting world and different places like that and kind of combined it all. Plus, you're covering Olympic lifting.
Yep.
And powerlifting and. Tell us a little bit about the way that you've got everything broke down.
So we break our program down into group-based training. There's 0 open gym hours at this current state. Everything we do is group-based. And so people will come in at a select group time and they'll warm up as a group. And then we'll take it to the whiteboard and I'll break down the training session for my powerlifters, whether they're in season or out of season, what's on the board, what's on the plan for them for the day. And then I'll address a completely separate tribe, which is my Olympic weightlifters, and we'll address whatever their training is for the day. And then last but definitely not least is our power building program, which is kind of a hybrid of strength training. Obviously, we all know the value of strength training. You know, we can do cardio all day long and try to lose weight. But strength training is the main factor that's going to help you direct what kind of weight you lose.
That's exactly
right. And that's the philosophy that goes behind my power building program. We have 2 or 3 times a year that I'll let the power building program kind of max out and see where their strength training is taking them. But the majority of my membership does the power building, and it's for people who want to look like they have a gym membership just outside of owning a t-shirt that says I belong to this gym.
Now, you've done a good job with that. Now, you brought on a nutritionist now too, right?
Yeah, Felicia is our first coach. She'll be kicking off a fitness class in the evenings here starting in October.
Well, I know that when we come up, I really enjoy watching the Olympic lifters because I've never been around that. And so I enjoy watching them train. I want to yell at them. And I don't know what they're doing, and I want to coach them. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy coming up.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of you know that we do a meetup here, Honor the Fallen, every year. And I've asked him to tell us a little bit about it and what's going on with that this year, which by the time you guys see this, it'll already be passed. But we do this every year, and this is one of my favorite meets. I like the way it is. Tell us a little bit about it.
So the meet was just kind of born in my heart years ago. Being a former gang member, I did a lot of really bad things. And I hurt a lot of people. And then I got in a prison cell. I was facing a 17-year prison sentence, 27 years, I'm sorry. Wound up getting initially sentenced to 11 years. And then the judge flipped everything after I got in a prison cell. And I got sent to a reform school in Pennsylvania. And if you know anything about high school powerlifting, you'll know who the Glen Mills Battling Bulls are. They've been national champions in high school for decades. And I always tell people, Jesus and a barbell saved my life and saved my soul. And it was there that I was introduced to powerlifting and got on the high school team. I was too old to actually compete as a high school champ, but they got me into some of the natural powerlifting. Back then, in the late 90s and early 2000s, WNPF was the World Natural Powerlifting Federation, and that's who I competed in. And I competed in single plank gear before I competed raw. It's crazy. I did it, that was my direction. At 132 pounds, I squatted just about 400 pounds, deadlifted 400, and benched 2 in single plank gear. So my first experience was 1,000-pound total at 132 pounds, and
That's cool.
Became the Northeast U.S. champion. And so powerlifting became a thing for me, and it went from being a thing to a passion to. Then I helped another buddy of mine start a gym, Dynamic Sports Development, back in 2010, and over time, we created a powerlifting program there as well. And the first Honor the Fallen finally came into play. My dad was Army. I grew up, a lot of my aunts and uncles were in the military. My mom, she's a civilian, works for the Navy, and so I just put a flip on what happened in my life and decided, man, it's time to start using powerlifting to change lives the way it did for me. And so we use powerlifting as an opportunity to raise money for a nonprofit that's local, that we can serve, whether it be first responders or military or veterans, anybody that's in the service industry that lays their life down on a daily basis or has laid their life down. And so the first year we did first responders, we raised money for. Last year we raised money for Folds of Honor. And then this year we're raising money for Wounded Veterans of Oklahoma. Phenomenal nonprofit. And our goal is to raise over $3,000 this year.
And it's great. And I got to tell y'all, it's fun too. It's not like a regular meet. There's a lot of other things going on. The raffles going on. There's things going in and out.
Yeah.
The music will be a little different. It's a little bit more thumping than, if you haven't been to one of my meets anyway, it's probably quite a bit different.
It's like the person who goes to the same restaurant every single time, is the boring old person that just orders the same menu item.
Yeah.
Now, repetition is cool with that kind of thing, but you won't know what kind of wraps are going to work better for you if you don't get out and experiment. Okay, $30, $50, $60 for a pair of wraps. It's going to last you a while. And
Yeah.
I teach my lifters to learn how to cycle through the wraps too. After a couple meets, those wraps now just became your new training wraps.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And you upgrade, and then those training wraps become something you hand down to somebody who's learning how to use wraps.
I was just going to say, now that's something that I've done a lot, is take wraps that we've used, and I'm not going to squat 800 pounds with them again.
Yep.
It's not going to, it'll never happen. So you pass those off to somebody that's squatting 400 or 300 pounds. If they work just fine for them,
They're gonna still
and
get to
you
work.
really encourage them
Yeah.
all at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an awesome way to do that.
We're very conservative. We don't like to spend a lot of money, but sometimes, we understand the difference between just spending money on things and actually investing
Yeah.
in what's necessary for the sport.
Now, do you use platform shoes? I know you do a lot of Olympic lifting as well.
Olympic lifting is my new passion. I've had a few injuries, so right now just rehab lifting is kind of my thing. But
Yeah.
when I squat, I'll cycle through warm-up sets. I'll have no shoes on, and then I'll eventually, when it starts to get heavy, I'll put my lifter shoes with the 3/4 inch to 1 inch heel. I'm kind of a shoe horse, so I've got quite a few different types of shoes, from my Nike Romaleos. I used to have a pair of Adidas and I traded out with a buddy and I bought some Position old school weightlifting shoe with the wooden heel.
Now, are you using those for different applications, or is it just strictly a way you feel?
It's just some days I feel like having a tighter fit on my shoe, so I wear my blue suede shoes with the wooden heel. Call me Elvis Presley.
That's cool. Now, do you wear a belt?
I do use a belt. Right now with my rehab from my back and my shoulder, I don't belt up till I get around 80%. If I'm going heavier than that.
Well, that's pretty standard, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good way.
And I mean, All depending also on how I feel. Like if my back feels trash going into a session, I'm probably not going to lift that heavy. I'm going to take what should have been a 2-rep max for the day up to 5 or 6 reps, just so I'm not going as heavy. And that may be the way I change my training for the day. And if I want to do a 5 or 6 rep max and I don't feel like going heavy, I'll just do a beltless.
There you go.
I'll do a beltless and see
Work on core
what my body can do. Yeah. And with Olympic weightlifting, I've got a thinner belt, Wallace weight belts. This guy makes custom belts. A couple years ago for my birthday, some of the members of the gym bought me a custom belt that's got my favorite scripture, Joshua 1:8, be strong and of good courage. And it's got the Punisher skull, the symbol, my kneecap, the symbol for the Flexican Mafia, my powerlifting team. And they got me a custom belt. It's a thin belt. It's probably 2.5, 3 inches in width.
Okay.
And it tapers down in the front, which is great for Olympic weightlifting because I'm going to have that mobility to get down, catch into a snatch or a clean.
Sure.
And it gives me the stability I need when I get overhead. So other than that, I use cheap cloth wrist wraps that don't require Velcro. You actually loop them in. I can cinch them in, or sometimes it's just tape. If it's a heavy Olympic lifting day overhead, we'll tape the wrists up, tape some fingers up, and go to war.
Now, we talk a lot about, I don't even want to know, and I certainly don't want my wife to know, how much money I've spent on wraps. We were talking about knee wraps and stuff like that. And plus, I've had tons of them given to me and stuff like that. But now, your wraps, now I know you've got some good wraps, but now I've seen you use some not as good wraps, just some, almost just an ace bandage wrap.
There's a company that used to be, they just changed their name. Used to be called Kilos Not Pounds. Now they're Strong Supply, and they make like a 6-foot ace bandage, cotton with a little bit of stretch in it, and it just allows me to cast up my knee for
for a little security.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to do this. I think we get stuck in a rut sometimes thinking that there's only one way to do that.
Yeah, I mean it all depends on the sport because in powerlifting, obviously the name of the game is you're going to get on squat day or on your squat when you're on that platform. You want to make it within the range that the judges are going to give you white lights for.
Yeah.
If
anything below that's irrelevant.
In powerlifting it
Yes.
is. But in Olympic weightlifting, the faster I can get under that bar and get rock bottom on the ground,
yes,
pretty much, that's going to allow me to not have to pull the bar as high.
Yeah.
And so that becomes a conservation of energy for Olympic weightlifting. And so that's why
I'm learning that as I watch these guys.
So that's why we cast those knees up pretty tight. And but we allow mobility. So it's not going to be a super thick, heavy wrap like it would be for powerlifting. And you'll see some Olympic lifters will wrap below and above
and leave
the patella and leave it open for the mobility, but still taking care of the connective tissue.
Yes.
And so that's in essence the way we train here. I mean, some of my power builders, they care to just use one of those cheap belts you can buy at Academy or Dick's with the Velcro because they're not caring to lift 500 or 600 pounds in squat. They just want to be able to get a little bit of pressure so they can, push press or overhead press the bar and just get a little more weight with some leverage.
That's great. Flex training and conditioning. So
Phoenix strength and conditioning.
I knew I was going to do that sooner. Phoenix conditioning or strength and conditioning. Y'all go and y'all check them out. They're awesome. If you're ever in the Tulsa area, come by and see Jaime, man. You'll enjoy it.
Yep. Come join the Flexicans. Come see what we've got to offer. Thank you, sir.
You bet.